How's it going, everybody? Skylar Kramer here, and I just wanted to say thank you, everybody, for commenting on my Facebook post right here on my real estate photography. Something I've been doing for 3 years now. I've kind of always wanted to make some videos, some tutorials on how to do this and how I've learned and my technique. Definitely, I still have lots of learning to do. I'm not the best at it, but I've definitely learned an awesome way just from watching a lot of YouTube videos and just Googling things and trial and error. But 29 comments on this post, which is really awesome to see everybody wanting to learn how to shoot some real estate photography because let me tell you what, it's definitely tricky. And when I first started, I definitely struggled and have always wanted to get awesome videos and photos of real estate, but definitely have come a long way. But practice makes perfect with this stuff, and I'm telling you right now, I've done it for 3 years and I'm still not perfect. So just want to let you guys know that I still have lots of learning to do. So if I do something wrong or you have anything better to do on techniques, then feel free to let me know in the comments because you guys can also help me out. So I shot a house today, this house right here, and this is the photo that I'm going to show you guys how I would take this and how I would edit it. So I shoot on the Canon 5D Mark IV. I use the 17 to 40 millimeter lens. It's a good lens, but I wish it was a little bit wider for tighter spaces, just to show more like small bathrooms and stuff like that. But for rooms like this, it's pretty good. So let me show you guys the way I shoot this is each corner, basically the four corners, is how I shoot a room. That way I can also give an agent her 36 photos for the MLS. If it's a big house, I don't worry about it. But if it's a small house, I have to get the agent 36 photos. And if you are shooting a house that's under 1,000 square feet, that's definitely hard to do. And you don't want to just give the agent the photos of the home and like 50 billion photos outside because they're not going to want that. So try your best to get each corner. As you can see over here, this corner would be really hard to get with just what's over here. And you want a lot of things in the photo. You don't want just here's a corner because sometimes it doesn't show the house right. So that corner I probably wouldn't do anyways, because it's kind of a boring photo. This shows the kitchen and what you would be viewing if you were standing inside this house, and it has a good window. So if you can do a window pull, it looks really good in the photo. Just it's viewing pleasure. It looks better than just taking a photo of a wall, and that's pretty boring. But so I try and do each corner. If you can stand back as far as possible and get more in the photo, that's great. But for this, this is about as much as I could get because there was another wall right here. So I didn't want to just get a wall. I wanted to show how open it is as much as possible. So how I take them is a series of photos, and I do use flash. I usually use a big off camera powered strobe light. And for this house, I didn't have it, and it was kind of a gloomy day out anyways. Let me see if I can show you the window pull. It's kind of a gloomy day, so there's not a lot of light coming through the windows. So I was just using my Canon. I don't know what light it is, but it's just a Canon flash speed light, and I just cranked the power all the way up on it, and that's what I was using for this shoot. So I didn't need a lot of power, and the colors were really good, really neutral, so it helps. If you have yellow rooms, it's terrible without a light because your white balance will not be good. So if you're shooting flash in a room that's yellow paint on the walls, it's always good to bring like a something white to bounce the light off, and then that usually will help your white balance. But for this photo, this house is really, really good colors. It's really neutral, and it's not harsh for the eyes. So how I take them is I will take a pretty much neutral bracketed photo, not bracketed, just right in the middle, not too dark, not too overexposed, just perfect. And this is something you can fall back on if something goes bad. You can edit this and send it off to the agent, at least so you have a backup, because there's nothing worse than taking a super overexposed photo and then a complete window pull that's like this, and that's what you have to work with, because then you're going to be shooting yourself in the foot because you're going to be really bummed out, and the agent's probably not going to be happy. So It's good to take a couple photos, even if you're shooting flash. Have backup. Always have backup, because it's terrible to call the agent and have to go back out, because I've had to do that once or twice and it's not fun. So I'll take this neutral photo and I'll take a little bit more of an overexposed photo just to kind of fill the ceiling light a little bit more and some of the foreground, and a little bit of the background as well, since this is kind of darker back here. And then I pretty much go back to this neutral setting, and then I shot with a flash just so I can get a little contrast, and a little bit more detail on the floor, and just kind of a little more detail on things. And then with my window pull. So what I do, I'll just select all these photos and I will right click, edit in layers in Photoshop. Once these all open to Photoshop here, you'll have all your layers. And I do go back and forth, and this process takes a while. If you don't want to go back and forth, you totally can just use Lightroom, but you can't do window pulls or crazy photo merges. You can just do the basic, photo merge HDR. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of that. Some people go crazy and they'll take 7 bracket photos. I've done it before, but for my computer, it just drains the life, and I sit there for hours and hours to edit just a couple of photos because I have to merge 400 photos of one house. So it's not fun. So this way is definitely a lot quicker, and it looks a lot better in my opinion. I'm sure there's somebody out there that has bracketing dialed and they can do it like crazy. I'm not good with it, so I stay away from it. I try and stick with what I'm decent and help improve on that so it gets better and better. So once these all open into Lightroom, you have all your photos, your window pull, flash. You have your overexposed, you have your underexposed, well, not underexposed, but your medium exposed, your neutral. And what I do is kind of take my overexposed and my neutral. First things first, edit, align layers, because when you take multiple photos, if you move or bump the camera or tripod, your photos will be shifted. As you can see, I shoot on tripod and I try not move it on self-timer. But if you look right here, after it aligned, it's still off just a little bit. But that is not a problem. That's pretty good. If you get to where half the screen's cut off, that's really bad. And you're going to do a lot of cropping, and then you're going to lose pretty much your whole photo. So that's not good. So take and go to your 2 layers. Make sure these are on the top. And I like to take and drop the opacity down 50%. And that basically gives me a neutral photo with both these here. So then I will go here, merge these. And then once these are merged, I will get off of this one, and I will probably, I don't know if I'm going to use this one or not, because honestly that looks pretty good right there. I'm going to zoom in a little bit because for some reason it's blurry. But yeah, I don't know if I'm going to use the flash. This looks pretty good, and there's still good contrast and good detail, so I'm going to go ahead and actually delete that layer. So now I have my main layer and my window pull. So what I'm going to do is come down here, switch this to darken mode, put it right above, layer mask, hide, and then make sure you're set to black and white on your colors. Go to your brush, and you want it on the white layer, and you'll set your opacity. I'll set it at about 50%. And just kind of brush back and forth on your window, and it'll pretty much anything dark, it'll pull back in and it'll mask that layer in. Now you don't want to get crazy and start going up here and doing all this, because as you can see, it'll mask in the window pull. So you don't want that. You want that neutral look. So get away from all your shadows. And what we'll do is that TV actually looks pretty good. So we'll come here. And I'm actually gonna zoom in so I can get this a little more detail. I'm just gonna pretty much draw the box around this guy. Go back to my white, and I'm gonna color this in. That way the TV is nice and dark, and you don't have that terrible harsh sun coming in on that screen. So that looks a lot better. So now you have your window pull, perfect and easy. You can also come back a little bit off that white layer and mask in a little bit more of the neutral color. If it's a little too dark on something like the couch, for example, it looked a little too dark from the window pull. We got a little bit of the window, so I'm gonna come back to this just like that. All right, so now we have our window pull. So I'll select both these layers, flatten the image, control save, and it'll throw you back right in Lightroom. And then as soon as it throws it in Lightroom, it'll be just like this, and I will drop my preset on there, and it already has the let's see, not effects. So the transform, I always hit auto, just let it auto select it for me. You can, if you want to go crazy by yourself and sit there and move your verticals. And this is the main thing, like super big, what I notice is people who start, they don't do this, and you want your verticals straight. Even though you shoot on tripod, always, if there's a level on your tripod, make sure your level is dead center, because it'll make your life a lot easier. I'm pretty good about making sure my level is center. Sometimes it gets off a little bit and I'm just in the moment shooting photos and I forget, but always try and make sure your tripod level is exactly level. And then once you take all your photos, just hit auto, it'll adjust it a little bit and it'll be perfect. It looks pretty good. The auto is pretty good. I've only had a few times where it's a fluke and it doesn't work very well, but for the majority of it, it works good. And then lens corrections. You want to make sure you select these two and make sure it's set to your camera, because everyone's lens is different. It's going to vignette different. It's going to warp things out different. So if you don't select these, you can see that it actually adjusts this, and it actually is nice because it, instead of vignetting and being darker on your edges, it'll actually brighten your edges up for you, which is great. So make sure this is set and set it to your camera and lens, and that's a big thing. Other than that, it's pretty much the basic tones, your contrast, all that, and your saturation. I don't touch saturation very much, leave it very low. I'll boost up the vibrance, and this looks really good, but you can see you have yellow tint up here, and the easiest way to get rid of that is if you come down here to your color. Now, don't go crazy and drop this down because that looks terrible. You just want to drop it down a little bit. So for the majority of it, I'll leave this, actually it was at 30, so I'll leave it at 30, and then yellows I'll drop completely down to 50%. And that definitely clears up the ceiling and takes away the yellow tint from the lights. Even though there's still a little bit of an orange tint over here, it's not terrible, because if I wanted to get that gone, I'm pretty much taking away a lot of the color. And if you want to get crazy and spend more time on it, you could take a brush and Lightroom, drop the saturation down, and you could sit over here and you could start brushing things. And that looks pretty good. It might be a little too dark or unsaturated, but you can go crazy and start unsaturating everything. Just, I wouldn't go too crazy and start doing things on the ground. Just stick to the ceiling. That way it looks clean and it looks like there's no tint from any lights or the sun. Things like the floor, if I would have shot with my big light, you can get away with that because you can overpower the sun and it'll pretty much light this whole room, and it'll take this away and have perfect looking floor. But since I was shooting on the on-camera flash, it doesn't have that much power, so getting away from this is not happening. There's no way to get rid of that. So it is kind of an eyesore and it is kind of a bummer, but it's not terrible. Nothing that's not going to make the agent hate the photo. It's just something that doesn't look great, but something hard to get away from also with the sun coming in. There are definitely ways, and with a big off-camera speed light, you can blow this room out with the light and get the floor just fine. So other than that, I would pretty much ship this photo off, maybe adjust this a little bit, but I like the way it's sitting. It looks really good. Nothing's too bright, nothing's too dark, everything's contrasted good. Everything looks pretty good in this photo. So for me, I would send this photo off to the agent, and I am happy with this photo for shooting with just my on-camera flash. I don't do it very often, but today it was dark enough and kind of gloomy, so I didn't have a lot of light that I needed to overpower, so it worked just fine. And it's a lot quicker with this big speed light. Usually I'm layer masking myself because I will walk around each corner and light each side of the room. And that's when you're at a house for multiple hours and then editing for multiple days because one photo will take a while. But as you can see, that was a pretty simple edit. My preset that I use is pretty simple. I don't go too crazy. If you guys want, you could take a look, screenshot these settings right here and try them out. I know every camera is different and every camera looks different on the computer or once you take a photo. So for Canon people, this might work for you. Nikon people, this might work, might not, I don't know. But give it a try. If not, just tinker with it and see what works best for you. But this is pretty much my photo. So I wanted to thank everybody again for commenting on the Facebook page. I'm definitely going to do some more videos, and the next one I'll do is a video on how I shoot, and I'll actually take a video of myself at a house shooting photos and just kind of through the motions of how it is when I actually shoot on camera instead of just showing you guys the photo that I took and editing around. But I hope this video works for you guys. I hope you guys learned some things. If you guys definitely have any questions or comments or anything, message me, comment on this video, let me know. And if you guys want to learn anything, let me know as well. If I know it, I will definitely help you guys out. If I don't, I can help you with as much as I can, and I can lead you to maybe somebody that does know. But I'm really excited to do some more of these videos and help you guys out, and I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you guys have any questions about my drone stuff, my outside package, obviously my Lightroom preset for outside does not look good in here, but I have a bunch of stuff. We can scroll down here just to show you guys a quick outside photo. We'll just go with this one. Same thing goes. I have pretty much Lightroom preset ready to go, already done, lens calibration, auto align, all that, so you can tell that the house looks a little bit different. Everything is a little more straight, but that's it. So if you guys have any questions on my outside preset, let me know, and I would definitely be happy to help you guys out. Thank you guys so much. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Like I said, message me with any comments, and I will see you guys for the next video. See you guys later.